The holographic displays flickered with an eerie blue light, casting long shadows across the United Nations Emergency Summit chamber. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood motionless, her dark eyes scanning the horrifying data streaming across the multiple screens. The massive chamber, typically a place of measured diplomacy, now buzzed with an electric tension that threatened to snap at any moment. Attention, representatives of Earth, the Galactic Council's transmission crackled to life. The alien emissary, a towering crystalline being named Vorlex, spoke with a voice that seemed to vibrate through the very molecular structure of the room. Your planet has been assessed. Your resources will be requisitioned. Elena's fingers traced the edge of her tablet, her mind already racing through potential scenarios. She had spent years studying galactic economic systems, but nothing could have prepared her for the sheer audacity of the Council's demands. The tribute is non-negotiable, Vorlex continued. 70% of your planet's rare earth elements, 60% of your strategic mineral reserves, and complete access to your research facilities will be transferred immediately. Resistance will result in total planetary isolation. A stunned silence fell over the chamber. Representatives from every nation sat frozen, the weight of the declaration crushing their collective spirit. The holographic map of Earth began to pulse with red zones, areas already marked for immediate resource extraction. Elena's tablet buzzed. An encrypted message from her old research partner, Jack Chen, appeared briefly before self-destructing. Check the quantum signatures. Something doesn't add up. Her mind worked with lightning speed. The tribute demands were mathematically precise. Too precise. No galactic species had ever demanded such a specific resource allocation. Something was fundamentally wrong with the Council's approach. We require an immediate response, Vorlex demanded, the crystalline form shifting with an impatient resonance. The United Nations Secretary-General, a weathered diplomat named Michael Okonkwo, stepped forward. His voice trembled slightly. We need time to assess the full impact of these demands. Negative. The alien responded. 24 Earth hours. Compliance or consequences. As the transmission cut out, chaos erupted. National representatives began shouting, diplomatic composure shattered by pure panic. Economic advisors frantically calculated the devastating impact of such a tribute. Industrial leaders whispered about complete economic collapse. Elena remained calm. Her fingers moved across her tablet, pulling up complex economic models, cross-referencing historical galactic interactions. Something about this demand felt manufactured, almost like a test. A small notification caught her eye. An anonymous data packet, heavily encrypted, had been routed through multiple quantum communication channels. The sender, unknown. The origin, impossible to trace. She opened the packet. A series of complex mathematical equations began to take shape. Star charts, economic flow diagrams, subtle discrepancies in the Galactic Council's resource assessment began to emerge. Elena realized this was more than a simple resource grab. This was a carefully orchestrated plan, and humanity was just beginning to understand the true complexity of the challenge before them. Outside the summit chamber, news networks began their frenzied coverage. Panic started to spread across global communication networks. Humanity stood at the precipice of its greatest challenge, and no one knew what would happen next. The abandoned lithium processing facility in the Chilean Atacama Desert looked like nothing more than a rusting industrial relic. Beneath its weathered exterior, a hive of activity buzzed with an intensity that would shock the Galactic Council. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stepped through a camouflaged entrance, her biometric signature activating a series of advanced security protocols. Jack Chen looked up from a wall of holographic displays, his fingers dancing across quantum-encrypted communication interfaces. "We've got 23 hours before the Council's deadline," Jack said, his voice tight with tension. Every global network is on high alert. Beside him, Dr. Aisha Khan was deep in concentration, her hijab slightly askew as she worked on a complex quantum computing system. "The data packet I intercepted is unlike anything I've ever seen," she muttered. It's not just an economic assessment. It's a complete systemic probe of human capabilities. Elena spread a holographic map across the central planning table. Red zones pulsed where the Galactic Council planned to extract resources. Major industrial centers in China, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Australia, and Brazil were marked for immediate intervention. They're not just taking resources, Elena explained. They're deliberately targeting the most complex and interconnected economic regions. This is a surgical strike designed to collapse our global infrastructure. Jack pulled up a series of economic models. Traditional resistance won't work. If we fight conventionally, we'll be isolated and crushed. We need something completely unexpected. A secure communication channel blinked to life. Dr. Yuki Tanaka from the Tokyo Quantum Research Institute appeared, her holographic form slightly distorted. "I've discovered something strange in the resource assessment algorithms," she said. "The Council's calculations have a fundamental flaw. They are treating human resource networks as linear systems." Elena's eyes narrowed. "They don't understand our adaptive capabilities." The resistance team began to outline their strategy. Instead of fighting the tribute demand directly, they would undermine its very foundation. Yuki had developed a quantum communication method that could create false economic signatures. Jack was designing adaptive economic algorithms that could redirect and mask resource flows. "We'll make our resources look both more and less valuable simultaneously," Aisha explained. "We'll create economic mirages that will completely confuse their assessment systems." A new team member appeared on the communication network, Maria Rodriguez, Elena's cousin, and a top-tier cybersecurity expert from Argentina. "I've identified backdoors in the Galactic Council's communication networks," she reported. "We can inject false data streams that will make our resistance look like normal economic fluctuations." The plan took shape quickly. They would not fight. They would transform. Jack uploaded a series of adaptive algorithms into global economic systems. Yuki's quantum communication network began to pulse with carefully crafted misinformation. Maria's data streams started to weave through galactic communication channels. 17 hours until the deadline, Jack announced. Elena looked at her team. Researchers, scientists, economists, not soldiers, but something far more dangerous. Humanity's true strength was not in direct confrontation, but in its ability to adapt, to see patterns others missed, to transform challenges into opportunities. "They think they're harvesting a resource," she said quietly. "They have no idea what they're actually dealing with." The resistance continued its silent, digital preparation. The real battle was just beginning. The Atacama Desert Research Installation hummed with an intensity that defied its isolated location. Dr. Yuki Tanaka's quantum computing array stretched across an entire underground level, a labyrinth of crystalline processors and holographic interfaces that seemed to breathe with technological life. 10 hours until the deadline, Jack Chen announced, his fingers racing across multiple interfaces. "We need a breakthrough that will completely redefine their understanding of our technological capabilities." Elena Rodriguez stood before a massive holographic display, analyzing the intricate data streams flowing from global research networks. The team had discovered something extraordinary, a fundamental misunderstanding in how the Galactic Council perceived resource management and technological innovation. "They're treating resources like static commodities," Yuki explained, her voice intense with scientific passion. "But human technology doesn't just consume resources, it transforms them." Dr. Aisha Khan pulled up a series of molecular reconfiguration models. "Watch this," she said, activating a holographic demonstration. A simple mineral sample began to shift, its atomic structure rearranging in real time. "Our quantum replication technology doesn't just copy, it improves." The installation's security systems suddenly went into high alert. Maria Rodriguez's voice cut through the tension. "Alien reconnaissance drone detected at perimeter. Stealth configuration. Quantum masking." Jack's fingers flew across the interface. "We can't let them see what we're developing. Initiate complete facility scramble protocol." Elena watched as the entire research installation began to transform. Holographic camouflage systems activated. Quantum entanglement generators created multiple false signatures. To any external observer, the facility would appear as nothing more than a simple geological research station. The resource replication technology is nearly complete, Yuki said, her voice a mixture of excitement and tension. We're not just creating copies, we're developing a system that can generate resources more efficiently than any known galactic technology. A breakthrough visualization appeared on the main display. It showed a revolutionary process of resource generation that went beyond simple replication. The system could take minimal input and generate exponentially more output, while simultaneously cleaning and restoring the surrounding environment. This changes everything, Elena muttered. The final pieces of the technological puzzle began to lock into place. Dr. Maria Rodriguez uploaded a series of adaptive communication protocols that would allow the new technology to operate undetected. Jack Chen integrated complex economic algorithms that would mask the true potential of the resource generation system. We're not just resisting, Elena explained to her team. We're demonstrating a completely new approach to resource management. As the alien reconnaissance drone passed overhead, the research installation appeared as nothing more than a simple, unremarkable research facility. No hint of the revolutionary technology being developed beneath the desert sands. Yuki's quantum array finished its final calibration. System ready, she announced. Jack looked at the countdown. 8 hours until the deadline. Elena studied the holographic display, a slight smile crossing her face. The Galactic Council thought they were coming to harvest a planet's resources. Instead, they were about to encounter something they could never have anticipated. Humanity was about to show the galaxy what true innovation looked like. The technological wildcard was ready to be played. The Galactic Council's central chamber gleamed with crystalline architecture, a testament to millennia of established power. Vorlex, the primary emissary, towered over the assembled diplomatic representatives, its prismatic form casting rainbow-like reflections across the polished surfaces. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood alone at the human delegation's platform, her posture calm, her eyes scanning the intricate political landscape before her. 6 standard Earth hours remained before the final tribute deadline. Humanity will comply with the resource extraction protocols, Vorlex announced, its voice a resonant frequency that seemed to vibrate through the chamber's very structure. Your planet's resources are now property of the Galactic Council. Elena stepped forward, her handheld device projecting a complex holographic display that immediately caught the attention of the assembled alien diplomats. I challenge the legal basis of your tribute demand, she said, her voice clear and precise. The chamber fell silent. Vorlex's crystalline form shifted, a sign of surprise among its species. Explain, it demanded. Elena's holographic display began to unfold a labyrinthine network of galactic legal precedents. According to Statute 7.3 of the Interstellar Resource Allocation Treaty, she began, any resource extraction must demonstrate clear, sustainable management protocols. Jack Chen's voice whispered through her encrypted earpiece, implementing secondary legal protocols. Prepare for system infiltration. The holographic display expanded, revealing a series of complex ecological and economic models. Each projection showed how the proposed resource extraction would cause catastrophic damage to not just Earth, but to the broader galactic ecosystem. A second alien diplomat, a gaseous entity from the Nebulon Collective, leaned forward. The human presents unexpected legal complexity, it observed to its colleagues. Elena continued her assault. Furthermore, we can prove that the proposed extraction violates 3 separate interstellar environmental preservation agreements. The ecological damage would create a cascading economic impact across multiple star systems. Behind the scenes, Maria Rodriguez was working her technological magic. She had infiltrated the Council's communication networks, subtly redirecting and manipulating information streams. To the alien diplomats, it would appear that human legal and ecological arguments were backed by an impossibly complex web of data. Vorlex's form began to fracture slightly, a sign of significant stress for its species. "You cannot resist the tribute," it proclaimed, but the statement now carried a hint of uncertainty. "We're not resisting," Elena replied calmly. "We're demonstrating why the tribute is fundamentally flawed." Jack's voice came through her earpiece again. "Ecological simulation ready. Preparing to demonstrate resource generation capabilities." The holographic display shifted. What had appeared to be a legal argument now transformed into a breathtaking demonstration of human technological potential. Barren planetary simulations began to bloom with life. Complex ecosystems emerged from seemingly impossible conditions. The alien diplomats watched in stunned silence. Vorlex's crystalline structure flickered. This is not possible," it stammered. Elena smiled. "On the contrary, this is exactly what is possible." The diplomatic battlefield had changed. Humanity was no longer a potential resource to be harvested. They had become something far more dangerous, an unpredictable, innovative force that could not be easily categorized or controlled. The tribute deadline was approaching, and everything was about to change. The planet Sirian 9 had been considered dead for centuries. A barren, radiation-scorched world that no galactic species had deemed worth restoring. Its surface was a wasteland of crystalline rocks and toxic atmospheric remnants, a perfect testing ground for humanity's most ambitious ecological restoration project. Dr. Yuki Tanaka stood at the primary research station, her environmental suit reflecting the harsh landscape. Beside her, a team of international researchers prepared for what many considered an impossible mission. 36 hours after initial deployment, she dictated into her communication log, "Ecological reconstruction protocols are exceeding all projected parameters." Microscopic nanobots, developed through a collaborative effort of researchers from 6 continents, began their systematic transformation of the planet's surface. Where other species saw a dead world, humans saw an opportunity for rebirth. The first signs of change were subtle. Microscopic lichen began to appear in areas previously considered completely sterile. Soil bacteria, engineered to survive in extreme conditions, started to break down the toxic crystalline structures. Atmospheric processors began to modify the planet's chemical composition, slowly creating conditions conducive to life. Maria Rodriguez monitored the planetary transformation from the orbital research platform. "Incredible," she muttered, watching the real-time data streams. "We're not just recovering the planet. We're completely reimagining planetary restoration." Alien observation vessels began to cluster around Sirian 9. Representatives from multiple galactic species watched in stunned disbelief as the impossible unfolded before their sensors. The Nebulon Collective's lead researcher, a being of pure energy, transmitted its observations. "They are not simply restoring the planet," it communicated to the Galactic Council. "They are creating an entirely new approach to ecological management." By the 48th hour, the first complex plant structures began to emerge. Genetically engineered organisms, designed to work in perfect symbiosis, started to populate the planet's surface. Water began to form in small pools, then streams, then interconnected ecosystems. Elena Rodriguez received the live feed from the research team. "This changes everything," she told Jack Chen, who was monitoring the global reaction. The implications were profound. Humanity was demonstrating a capability that went far beyond resource extraction. They were showing the ability to create life where no life had existed before. Alien diplomatic channels began to buzz with confusion and concern. The proposed tribute system seemed increasingly irrelevant in the face of such technological marvel. Dr. Aisha Khan analyzed the planetary transformation data. "We're not just recovering a planet," she explained during a global broadcast. "We're demonstrating a fundamental approach to planetary healing that could revolutionize how we understand ecological restoration." By the 72nd hour, Sirian 9 had transformed from a dead world to a nascent ecosystem. Complex biological networks were forming. The first signs of animal life, carefully engineered microorganisms, began to appear. The Galactic Council's observation team transmitted its report. The language was clinical, But underneath lay a sense of profound uncertainty. Humanity had done more than challenge the tribute system. They had demonstrated a capability that fundamentally threatened the existing galactic understanding of planetary management. The ecological gambit was working perfectly, and the galaxy was watching. The Galactic Council's central chamber trembled with an intensity that defied its millennia-old architectural stability. Holographic displays flickered and died, communication networks collapsed, and the carefully constructed facade of galactic governance began to crumble. Vorlex, the primary emissary, watched in horror as economic systems that had remained unchanged for centuries started to disintegrate. The tribute system, a method of resource extraction that had maintained galactic hierarchies for generations, was coming apart at its fundamental molecular level. "This is impossible," the crystalline diplomat muttered, its prismatic form fracturing with each passing moment. Dr. Elena Rodriguez observed the unfolding chaos from the human diplomatic platform, her team working in perfect synchronization. Jack Chen's fingers danced across quantum communication interfaces. Maria Rodriguez managed complex algorithmic disruption protocols, and Dr. Yuki Tanaka monitored the systemic breakdown. The human strategy was elegantly simple and devastatingly effective. They hadn't attacked the system directly. They had simply revealed its inherent weaknesses. Economic models that had seemed unbreakable now showed catastrophic structural failures. The intricate web of resource management that the Galactic Council had maintained for centuries began to unravel like a poorly knitted sweater. "We're not destroying their system," Jack explained to Elena. "We're exposing how fragile it always was." Alien species across multiple star systems watched in stunned disbelief. The Nebulon Collective's energy-based researchers transmitted observations that bordered on existential panic. The Crystalline Confederacy's diplomatic networks began to fracture. Maria Rodriguez's latest algorithm created a cascading effect that exposed hidden economic manipulations. Centuries of subtle resource hoarding, secret trade agreements, and systemic oppression began to surface. 53 separate galactic economic zones are now in complete system failure, Yuki announced, her voice calm despite the magnitude of the event. The tribute system had always been more than a simple resource extraction method. It was a complex mechanism of control, a way for established galactic powers to maintain their hierarchical structure. Humanity had found its fundamental weakness and exploited it with surgical precision. Vorlex approached the human delegation, its crystalline form now unstable, fragmenting at the edges. "What have you done?" it demanded. Elena stepped forward. "We've simply shown the truth," she responded. "Your system was never as strong as you believed." The holographic displays began to show a complete breakdown of galactic economic networks. Trade routes collapsed. Resource distribution systems failed. The carefully maintained illusion of galactic stability disappeared like mist in the morning sun. "This goes beyond the tribute," a gaseous diplomat from the Outer Rim territories transmitted. "They've exposed the fundamental flaws in our entire economic model." Jack Chen allowed himself a slight smile. "We didn't destroy anything," he said quietly. "We just helped the system demonstrate its own inherent contradictions." The Galactic Council chamber became a symphony of collapsing systems. Diplomatic communications broke down. Economic networks dissolved. The tribute demand that had seemed so powerful just days earlier now appeared as nothing more than a desperate attempt to maintain a failing status quo. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy. They had simply shown everyone how broken it already was, and everything was about to change. The Interstellar Reconstruction Summit convened in a massive orbital facility, a neutral space that hung between multiple star systems. Delegates from hundreds of different species filled the circular chamber, their diverse forms a testament to the galaxy's incredible complexity. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at the central platform, her presence both calm and electric. Behind her, a holographic display showed the intricate network of relationships and systems that humanity had helped expose and rebuild. "We're not here to replace the old system," Elena began, her voice carrying across translation networks. "We're here to create something that works for everyone." The chamber fell silent. Vorlex, now reduced to a fractured version of its former self, watched from the periphery. The once powerful emissary had become a symbol of the systems that had failed. Jack Chen managed the technological infrastructure, his fingers dancing across quantum communication interfaces. Maria Rodriguez coordinated complex diplomatic protocols. Dr. Yuki Tanaka provided the scientific framework for the new galactic approach. The reconstruction was more than political. It was a fundamental reimagining of how different species could interact. Our ecological restoration of Xerion 9 demonstrated something critical. Elena continued. Resources are not just commodities to be extracted. They are living systems that require collaborative management. Representatives from marginalized species began to speak up. The Nebular Collective, long suppressed by the previous system, found a voice. Energy-based life forms from the quantum rim shared experiences of systematic oppression that had been hidden for centuries. Dr. Aisha Khan presented a revolutionary framework. Our proposed system doesn't just redistribute resources, she explained. It creates a dynamic network of mutual support and innovation. The holographic displays showed a new model of galactic interaction. Instead of a hierarchical system of extraction and control, the proposed framework emphasized collaborative development, shared innovation, and ecological restoration. Alien diplomats who had previously been silent now actively participated. The Crystalline Confederacy, once a primary enforcer of the tribute system, now sought to understand this new approach. We're not seeking dominance, Elena emphasized. We're seeking balance. The reconstruction touched every aspect of galactic interaction. Economic models were reimagined. Technological exchange protocols were redesigned. Ecological management became a collaborative effort rather than a competitive one. Maria Rodriguez managed the intricate diplomatic negotiations. Her ability to navigate complex communication networks proved crucial. Jack Chen's technological infrastructure allowed for unprecedented transparency. This is more than a new political system, Jack whispered to Elena. This is a completely new way of thinking about collective existence. The summit continued for weeks. Every detail was carefully negotiated. Every system was examined, challenged, and rebuilt. Vorlex approached Elena during a break. The once powerful emissary now looked diminished, its crystalline form still fractured. You did not conquer, it said. You transformed. Elena smiled. Exactly, she responded. The old systems had fallen. But what was emerging was something neither humanity nor the existing galactic species could have imagined. A true collaboration was being born. And the galaxy would never be the same. 5 years after the Great Reconstruction, the galaxy looked fundamentally different. The orbital research station above Xerion 9 served as a symbol of the new interstellar collaboration. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at the primary observation deck, watching as the once-dead planet continued to bloom with life. Terraforming projects that once seemed impossible were now standard practice, with species from across the galaxy contributing their unique knowledge. Jack Chen approached, carrying a holographic report. The latest collaborative research initiative is ready, he said. 23 different species are participating in the quantum communication network development. Their team had become something more than diplomats or scientists. They were architects of a new cosmic understanding. Maria Rodriguez managed the global communication networks that now connected hundreds of species. What had once been a system of extraction and control had transformed into a true exchange of knowledge and resources. Dr. Yuki Tanaka's ecological restoration technologies had become a cornerstone of interstellar cooperation. Planets once considered beyond recovery were now thriving ecosystems. The concept of resource had been completely redefined. We didn't conquer, Elena often explained to young diplomats and researchers. We demonstrated that collaboration is more powerful than competition. The Galactic Council no longer existed in its old form. Instead, a dynamic network of species worked together, sharing technologies, ecological insights, and collective knowledge. The rigid hierarchies had dissolved, replaced by a more fluid, adaptive system. Vorlex, The former alien emissary now worked as a primary coordinator in the new interstellar collaborative network. Its crystalline form had been restored, but its perspective had fundamentally changed. Humanity showed us that strength is not about control, Vorlex would explain to younger generations. It's about understanding. The tribute system was a distant memory. Resource management had become a collaborative process. Species that were once marginalized now played crucial roles in galactic decision-making. A new research vessel prepared for launch. Its crew represented a dozen different species, working together on a mission of pure scientific exploration. The ship embodied everything the reconstruction had achieved: diversity, collaboration, mutual respect. Dr. Aisha Khan reviewed the final mission parameters. "This is what we dreamed of," she told Alina. "Not conquest, not extraction, but genuine exploration." The orbital station hummed with activity. Research labs, diplomatic centers, and collaborative spaces filled every level. Humans were no longer seen as a species to be controlled or feared. They were partners in a grand cosmic endeavor. Alina looked out at the stars. The galaxy seemed both familiar and completely transformed. Jack joined her, reviewing the latest collaborative research initiatives. "We changed everything," he said quietly. "No," Alina corrected him. "We just helped everyone see what was possible." As another research vessel prepared to explore uncharted regions of space, the true legacy of humanity's resistance became clear. They had not conquered the galaxy. They had simply shown everyone how to truly explore it. The stars beckoned, and this time they would be explored together.